Well, hello there, Dima. Good evening, my friend. How are you doing?
I am doing great. What about you?
Doing great. Doing all right. I am. Energy's kind of low. Not gonna lie. Energy's low, but we're gonna bring it up. We're gonna have a
Yeah,
great
well,
show, right?
the countdown increases it. Dun, 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 dun. It's hard not to dance while you're going through the countdown.
The
Move, move, move.
anxiety's like building. Like I gotta click on something in five, four, three, two, one. So I love it.
Yeah,
It brings some dramatic. I don't know. Some dramatic showmanship to the producing of the show or to performing on camera, right? So this is going to be a great one. All week long or all month long, right? We've had sort of a theme about resilience, transformation. What has been a takeaway for you this month, Dima? Do you have anything to relate to those topics?
oh, absolutely. We're all going through such difficult time, and we are all trying to discover the resilient power within, so we would be able to survive. So it's to realize that we're gonna go through difficult times in our lives, whether we go with it, like go through it personally, or as a globe. So right now we're going through it globally, and that's why it's a matter of stopping and asking, what can we learn from this? How can we be better? So that's what I ask myself every day. We're in the middle of it. We're not even close to for this craziness to be over. So it's a matter of continuing to ask. What about you? Before we get our guest, what are you learning?
Um, I mean, I have to say hats off to all the teachers out there, any caregivers, any parents that are doing the virtual learning thing you know, from afar and trying to wear multiple hats during the week, during the day, trying to handle everything to get to the next class or turn in the next assignment. I think the resiliency that I've seen just in the staff, in the administration, and some of the teachers that I've come into contact with through our virtual learning experience, hats off to them. Some amazing resiliency there, given their circumstances, given the timetables, and wow, I think at least for us, they're performing better than I think could be expected, and I'm so thankful for their efforts. So anyone on the front line, teachers, to be specific, and I've seen a lot of adaptation. So I think it's worth mentioning the efforts there that go behind it.
Yeah,
But there's something else. There's something else with our guest. This is kind of
yeah,
we're joking about this. It's kind of built into the design
yeah.
of her company, and
We need
some of
to turn lemon into lemonade.
and with that, I mean, I think the next best introduction is to just say hello to my good friend, our friend, and our special guest for the day, Nenette Gray. Come on in, friend. How are you doing?
Hey, Rob, doing great. How are you guys? Good to see you. Hi, Dima.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
So good to see you, friend. Look, when I really have to say thank you for being a part of this show. When we're talking about making lemons on a lemonade, you're the first person that comes to mind, right? You're top of mind.
I'm about that lemonade life. If there's nothing else, I'm determined to turn lemons into lemonade.
I love it. So, all right, friend, you got to tell us about you, who you are, and then, give us a little taste of the lemon juice. Tell us where this all came from and how you turned something so sour into something so sweet. Please give us some background to your journey.
Yeah, well, it's been quite a journey, Rob. I'm a native of here in Baton Rouge. I actually grew up off of College Drive in a little neighborhood called Valley Park. And, went to South Downs and McKinley Middle, and then graduated from Lee High School. So been in Baton Rouge for the majority of my life. Then graduated from Southern University with a degree in marketing, which took me from Louisiana to Chicagoland. And, I had an opportunity to work with some Fortune 500 companies in the Chicagoland area. And, but the whole intention of leaving was to be gone for 2 years, get experience, and come back home.
Yeah.
Well, that 2 years turned into 15. And we were gone all the way up until right after Hurricane Gustav. So I returned to Louisiana with a promotion with my pharmaceutical company. And, that's what brought us back to the area. But then in 2010, my pharmaceutical company laid off my entire specialty division, which was about 1,400 people. And at that point, it was a little bit of a crossroads. It's like, do you go and secure another good job? Or do you follow what you've always wanted to do, in terms of starting your own business? So I decided at that time to turn the lemons of losing my pharmaceutical job and make lemonade. And so the company Lemonade Creative Marketing was formed in the fall of 2010. And we're going on our 10-year anniversary this fall.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So
wow.
That's a heck of a success story there.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been quite a journey going from the comforts of a nice pharmaceutical income to nothing isn't for the faint at heart. But, it's not a matter of the money. It's where your passions lie. And I guess since the theme is resiliency, there definitely has to have been resiliency over the course of the journey.
Yeah. And I believe your story is such an inspiration right now, because there's so many people afraid for their jobs and their the security for their career. Many people, their jobs have been impacted. So I'm hoping that as they hear this, it's going to help inspire them to think about their path too. So what advice would you give to somebody who is experiencing this right now based on your experience?
Well, I say do not fear. The fear itself stands for false evidence appearing real. And so it may be that the storm that you're experiencing, it's not designed to actually destroy you. It may be designed to clear your path. So while you're waiting in the hall for another door to open, there's other opportunities that are there. So don't give up and think that what you've lost is everything, because I'm not a very religious person, but I'm very spiritual. And I firmly believe what God has for you is for you, no matter if it doesn't, even if you had, I had a very, very good job, but, I actually cheered when they announced the layoff, because I felt that it was my time to pursue the opportunity that I'd always dreamed of. So my advice is to not be fearful.
Well, a fear can be a driving factor, though, in a lot of things, right? That could be the reason why we hold on to our money, or, decide not to travel, maybe not pursue goals, or ask that girl out, or, it could be, it's everywhere.
Yes.
It's everywhere. I know what my favorite 4-letter word is, and I know what my least favorite 4-letter word is. And both of them are self-explanatory. Fear is a big one.
Yes. I think we all, it's only human to experience it in one way or another, but in order to be able to use it, to channel it for the good. And the things that you mentioned is taking advantage of it to channel it for positive things. So yeah, I think it can be good, but just don't let it stifle you.
Yes.
Amen.
So you moved from pharmaceutical into marketing. Are you doing marketing in the pharmaceutical industry, or why marketing now?
Well, a combination of sales and marketing. The predominance was in sales, but prior to joining the pharmaceutical industry, I was in the energy industry in marketing. So marketing is what my undergraduate degree in, and it's something that I've always loved. If I had the money when I graduated from college, but I was a poor college student like everybody else, I would have started my marketing company then. But sometimes that opportunity doesn't open up at the time that you kind of want it, and eventually it came.
Well, you said timing, Nenette. What's your viewpoint on timing? Because I've heard that, timing is everything, right? I agree to a certain extent. My view is timing is a lot of things. It's not everything. It's a lot of things, because just because it's the right time doesn't mean it just automatically executes and gets done. There still has to be effort behind it. So what's your view on timing in terms of maybe stepping up to be resilient or adapting to the circumstances?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have to seize the moment. We're getting close to sunset right now, and that's one of my favorite times of the day is, you know, sunrise and sunset, getting to see the beauty of the sky as the sun departs. But if you go outside right now, the sun, there's going to be certain colors, but then if you go back in 10 minutes, all of those beautiful colors could be gone. And so, you know, it's a matter of being able to seize the opportunity and take advantage of the opportunities that come. Now, if you miss them, sometimes they come back and sometimes they don't. But I'm definitely one that believes in trying to take advantage of the moment. And that's one of the things that we had to do as it related to COVID. But I guess we'll get into that.
No, keep telling us. It sounds good. Tell us what you were trying to say.
Yeah, so when the pandemic hit, I remember Tim Boone from The Advocate called in February. They were doing an article on the pandemic, and it hadn't hit here yet. And so he was asking, how has the pandemic impacted the supply chain? And at the time, there were a few things here or there that were delayed in the business. Some of the things that we were importing might have been delayed 30 days. And so I was like, yeah, it's having some impact, but we're going to be fine. That was like the middle of February when I had no clue. And fast forward a month later, with our company being primarily working with events, conventions, conferences, and trade shows, every single event we had on the books was canceled. You know, it was canceled, and that was 95% of our revenue just went away like that. And so, you know, that was an opportunity at that time. Well, first to panic. You know, you panic first, a little bit of fear, but then you quell it. And I after a couple of weeks, when everything was shut down, had to determine, you know, well, what now? Because obviously the primary source of the business is gone. How do we pivot to something else that we might be able to do until everything pops back up? Which I only foresaw to be, 6 weeks, 8 weeks max. Is that how you guys saw it when the pandemic first hit, that it was going to be a little bit shorter term?
Yeah. It was like supposed to be 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah.
I knew this was going to be way out there.
Yeah, but for the event business, I agree with Nenette, because with the event business, we're like, okay, just give it like a few weeks to a month, and then we'll keep moving on. And then everything just suddenly everything got canceled or moved or yeah.
And so
I feel your pain.
Well, and then so what I decided was I started seeing that there was a need for PPE, the personal protective equipment. In my industry, you know, we did, you know, hand sanitizers and little things. But I had a friend that owned a medical supply company, and he said, Nenette, you know, in the interim until your business comes back, you need to start looking more into the PPE. And so I decided to pivot to be able to offer our clients, our community, reasonably priced PPE, because I felt that people were beginning to be gouged. And so that was supposed to be a temporary thing, but lo and behold, it presented a whole new opportunity for us.
Oh, yeah, it did. And look, I had to call on your friend. You're not only a friend, I mean, I had to rely on you for PPE for my company as well. I reached out to you. You had something online. You were advertising that you had certain supplies that were in demand, and I had to reach out to you, friend. You came through.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for your support.
We needed those masks. You had the masks. everything else, like you had said, was either delayed, canceled, the shipping was extended. There was no way to get PPE. I went for probably about 4 to 6 weeks trying to find enough PPE for around 20 people.
Mm-hmm.
And that was stressful. That was anxiety ridden. And you helped solve that problem. And in the end, you were also the person who helped me with securing more PPE in the long term.
Mm-hmm.
So you were not only helping me get by in a really hard place, you helped me secure long-term PPE for my business, and I have you to thank for that. You are the reason for that, my friend.
Well, thank you. And one of the other things that came out of it was because of the supply chain globally being so disrupted, smaller companies with the foresight to be nimble were able to, really stand in the gap. And so at the end of April, I got a call from ExxonMobil because they were having difficulty sourcing masks for their team. And, they called and said, do you have something that, a sample we can provide? Well, we had it there the next day. And then the next week, they ended up placing an order, and then they placed another one and another one. And then they publicized it on their social media, which gave us exposure to, some other big companies like Turner and Formosa and APTIM. And so all of those companies started calling because of the opportunity that presented itself as far as the timing that you were mentioning earlier.
Wow.
So being in a position to seize the opportunity.
Well, and so that's why we bring up the timing thing. I think timing plays a pivotal role. But when we say pivotal or whatever role you took was the adaptation from where you were, seeing a quicker, better, lane towards the goal and making the shot. So just the timing of it is a lot of things, but you were able to execute and make that happen on the fly. That's why I think timing is a lot of things. It's just not everything.
Right.
And that's one man's opinion. But I'm so proud of you. I remember you mentioning the ExxonMobil thing, and this is exciting how this led into other larger organizations using your services, getting to know you as a vendor. That's a huge win. Not many people have wins to celebrate right now.
Oh, it's been a blessing, and I'm very, very grateful. And I'm excited. I'm looking forward to what's to come. And I think part of it came with the shift and the pivot in mindset. Seeing this, although it was a very uncertain future, knowing that something positive would eventually come from. I think that attitude is important with that as well.
Yeah, that's so powerful. It's amazing how you were able to find suppliers to provide you the masks and the overall PPE so fast as well. Mm-hmm. So that by itself is absolutely amazing. So were you using your network? How were you able to figure all of this out so fast?
Well, I think network is a very, very crucial part of this whole equation. One of the gentlemen that had access to these products prior to the pandemic, we just met 3 weeks before because we were talking about synergizing our companies. And it had nothing to do with the pandemic, but just the timing of that allowed me opportunity to access those PPE that he already had the distribution channels for. And then within the promotional merchandise industry, all of the supplier companies had to pivot because just like we mentioned, all of the events were canceled. So if they're producing bags and T-shirts and caps or anything like that for an event, there are no events. So they had to pivot from a survival perspective as well. And so having that whole network already established gave me great access to be able to procure.
But when we're talking about resilience, that is so important in being resilient. It's not a matter of just, your mindset and managing. It is who do you know? Who do you need to connect with? But isn't it amazing how you met that person 3 weeks before. So these are not coincidences. These are it's continuing to nurture these relationships and watch for them as well.
I'm 100% in agreement, Dima. I think that's one of the reasons I've been able to have longevity over the years is I'm not the smartest cookie, not the brightest light in the candelabra, but from a relationship perspective, I've been able to meet and network with a lot of good people, and not with the intention of getting something from them, but from a position of authenticity. And over time, it eventually grows into opportunities.
I love that. I have to echo that again, because Nenette, I met you through a friend of ours, Jay Ducote, and it was as simple as a couple T-shirts for our Baton Rouge, barbecue competition team, competition cooking team. And
I forgot I met you through Jay before the round table.
That's right. And so that's how I knew of you. And just to echo that, it was just a simple purchase of I think it was like 3 shirts that we had branded for our team. We went to lunch at Zia's. We went to lunch. You wanted to get to know me. You wanted to get to know the needs. And I was like, look, I wish I had needs. I don't really have needs.
Well, it's not about that. It's about
I have needs, not needs. I'm so sorry. But man, this empanada is incredible.
Well, I mean, the other side of that is I love to eat. And so any excuse to get out to lunch and meet great people, I'm all for it.
Amen. Well, I remember us solidifying a relationship then because I was so glad that we had that chance. And at first it was unusual because not many people at that time were asking you to go to lunch or like we were, you know what I mean? But that was such a great gesture on your behalf, just in your authentic, genuine self. And then, look where we are. I wound up doing business with you, some years later. But I then was extremely excited when I knew that you were going to be in the CEO roundtable.
Yes.
That was offered through the LED. And so earlier you were talking about building a network. I mean, so you are a prime example of having a network that you've built up through amazing programs. And I want you to talk about some of those, but also up to 3 weeks before, the middle of March when there was no supply chain issues. And, what a difference timing would have made then if Timothy Boone would have called just 2 weeks later, right?
Yes.
So can you tell us how you built this network and how it's not only, like Dima said, cultivating and nurturing these relationships? Where have you found some of these resources? Where have you found some of these relationships that have helped you boost your personal and professional
Rob, it's been everywhere. My kids, I get on their nerves because it's like if somebody's within 3 feet of me at the grocery store, that's a conversation. I'm not looking for anything from them, but I've had some really interesting relationships that were formed at bars. I remember this past January, I was in Las Vegas at the Hubert Keller's Burger Bar. It's this fancy burger joint. But I was sitting at the bar, and there was a stool next to me open on both sides. A lady came, and she sat right behind, what do you call the little spigot things, the tap. So she sat right behind the tap at the bar, and that kind of shortens the bar a little bit. So I said, well, hey, this seat is available over here. I'll move over so you can have more space. Well, I didn't know who she was from A Man on the Moon, but she ended up being the editor of one of our industry publications. We had a great conversation, and that led to opportunities, with the publications. In some of the more structured environments, you mentioned the LED CEO Roundtable. There's also the SEBD Roundtable for small and emerging businesses. Those have been priceless relationships that I've been able to meet other entrepreneurs through those channels. Because Louisiana Economic Development, I don't know if people realize this or not, but is one of the best economic development programs for small businesses in the entire country. And I think if people haven't looked into it, visit Opportunity Louisiana led.com, and it'll give you a list of a lot of the programs that are available through our LED. And the vast majority of them are at no cost. And if you're telling me that you're going to give me opportunities to meet new people, gain new knowledge, learn more, and it's not going to cost me anything, sign me up. Sign me up. And so I've taken advantage of all of the opportunities that have come before me, including the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. And I think you just finished that recently, didn't you, Rob?
Just finished cohort 25, baby. Woo woo!
Yay! Congrats! Congrats! I mean, it's a very, very rigorous program, but the relationships that were formed, I was just talking to one of my colleagues, just a couple of hours ago. They're ongoing and lasting. And so my thing is, I don't look to earn business from somebody the moment I meet them. That's one of the things I think people make the mistake of, is as soon as they meet somebody, they try to sell them. And we all hate being sold to.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know if what I have is of any value to you. But I think over time, and then with time builds trust, and with trust builds greater relationships, and people buy from those that they like and they trust. And so I just think it's very, very important from a networking perspective to, get out and meet people. But it isn't necessarily only at those structured places. Like I said, it could be the person sitting next to you at the burger bar.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll share with you another idea for business is right now, everybody is being virtual, presenting virtual, working virtual. So your back, what is it called? The backdrop, the thing behind you?
Oh, it's fabulous.
Thank you.
Creating some nice designs and customized designs. Oh my goodness, as a speaker, like we're all looking for like professional background. So tell us tell me what are you doing regarding like creating nice professional backgrounds for people that are working virtually now?
Yeah, that's one of the big areas that we've been working with is the whole work from home market. Whether it's the backdrops like this one, this is just a banner stand, but on the other side, I can use it at a trade show because it's dual purpose. And then we have all kinds of other backdrops as well. So it's presented a lot of opportunities that are actually in our wheelhouse. And then one of the other cool things is apparel. Normally, shirts are decorated left chest, but because Zoom calls sometimes end here, they've started, we've started putting the decoration of the logo on the shoulder, which makes it Zoomable. But it is a lot of great opportunities.
Well, we're creating a new logo for Chit Chat, and it's almost done. Almost.
All right.
We will eventually need T-shirts and other stuff, but I guess we're gonna have the logo here or here. Yeah.
I know, right?
Rob, Chit. No.
Oh yeah.
It's the opposite.
Chit Chat.
Yeah, Chit.
It'll look funny if it reverses on the camera, right? So people in person be like, "What is that?"
This is my right hand.
Love it.
This is my right hand.
Unless if we want to write it in Arabic, it will be the other way.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
That's a good point. I never really thought about that as real estate. I got some broad shoulders. I could probably sell these babies.
Oh yeah. From a branding perspective, I got to actually do it for us, and so that people can actually see it in person. But yeah, the pandemic is as horrible as it has been for so many people. It's like it also has opened up opportunities that never would have been there before. So we're just taking each day as they come.
Nenette, do you have any exercises or like a routine that you run through, to bring back some me time? Like, do you practice anything, or what are some of the things that you do to keep things going, keep it sane?
That, Rob, that has been a challenge because of how busy we got. I mean, in the month of June and July, and actually the first week of August, we were slammed, and to the point where I was working 7 days a week. And
Oh, wow.
that's not a sustainable path. And so I had to basically, take a step back and I actually went to Destin and Navarre Beach a few weekends ago, just to be able to absolutely, totally reset. So now I've been trying to get back again this weekend, but I don't think that that's going to happen. But in order to get back on track, I've gone back to doing the things that I love. Regardless of how much work is on the plate, I still have to take care of me, because that's saying you can't pour from an empty cup. And so I've gotten back into my workout routine, going to the gym, between 5:30 and 6:30, getting a good, refreshing start to the day. I got both of our mountain bike serviced, because I love doing my mountain bike trails, because here in Baton Rouge we have the two, the Comite and the Hooper Road one, to be able to do hiking. And I haven't gotten back out to kayaking yet, but just anywhere near the water is a place that I go to reset from meditating, or just having just quiet time. I love those. And then the LSU lakes every weekend, doing that in the mornings. Getting the 4 mile circle around the lakes is always good too.
Have you had to change anything or, adapt in your schedule because things got so busy? I mean, you were saying 7 days a week. How can you find time at 5:30 in the morning when you go in 7 days a week like that?
I didn't. I had to come back to it. Because when you get to that state, when you're on the border of burnout, it's almost where you have to draw the hard line in the sand in order to get back to having that balance. So it's refocusing the mind, to keep that mindset. Like I said, you can't pour from an empty cup. And so once you realize that, then you're able to do those things that are good and helpful.
I just want to look, Dima's called me out before. I just want to take notice to how professional of a sneeze that was by our very seasoned.
I was wondering what happened. I was like, wait.
You are so lucky I didn't screenshot that, Dima. Ooh, you are so lucky.
That was stealthy. Great job.
Look, if you're going to sneeze, do it like Dima.
It was planned. I was waiting for it to go away. And when it didn't go away, I'm like, okay, I need to do something here. And I have a feeling another one is coming too.
He's going to be ready to capture that one.
Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious. I love it. All right, now I've got to ask, have you had some funny Zoom moments, or, what's something that's just crazy that's happened while you've been on a call during COVID, or some sort of call, video or regular call?
Well, I fortunately haven't had some of the ones that I've seen. I don't know if you've seen some of the really crazy ones online, but that was the whole reason that I thought about the whole backdrop, is when we first started working from home. I have teenagers. And so, if I'm on a Zoom call and my son Zombie, walks behind the camera, in his boxers, it's like, I'm on the camera. So that was what actually prompted the backdrop, because then it's like, okay, they can walk back and forth to the kitchen or whatever they need to do. Nobody will ever know. So fortunately, nothing worse than that. What about you guys?
I kept moving my desk or my table. I kept angling it even further. At one point, I was like this, so no one could see anything facing the living room.
Yeah, we've had audience studio audience, Rob's home. That is my. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
It's interesting. Look, Dima, if you want some of that drama back, I can go. I have now reverted back downstairs. I'm at my desk is 3 times smaller. I still have the same size monitors and crap on my table, but I'm like this right next to the door now. Because there's 3 desks in a living room that never existed, 4 weeks ago. So I'm huddled up next to the front door, and it's great because like if UPS comes, it's like ding dong, got it, okay, and I can still type like yeah, thanks, see you next week. Shut the door, lock it, and I'm still typing. I'm still on Slack and stuff. It's great.
Oh wow.
But no, I've got so many things running around at any given time. I need a background now. It's crazy how things change.
Do you still go into the office at all, Rob?
No, I don't go in the office as much. I mean, I've been in maybe in person for 2 meetings in the last 5 months. Now I've gone late at night, or I've gone super, super early right before anyone has ever gotten there. If I need to drop something off, drop PPE bags off, or grab a chair or something crazy like that. But I mean, typically I haven't been at the office for more than 15 minutes at a time, and with multiple people in it, except for like maybe twice.
Right.
Because it's usually in and out. I'm gone. I'm back home, and it's always task driven. Point A to B hits that one destination, and then it's right back home. So no, I haven't been going to the office. It's been at home. The home office is it. This is it. I mean.
Oh, well, cool. I mean, I thought that's what was going to happen with me as well, but when things pivoted, then there were actually, we've had opportunities where we've had to assemble and kit and do a little bit of, putting things together. And so that actually requires physical presence.
Yep.
Other than that, I'd be at home too with my backdrop so you couldn't see my teenagers.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's sharp as can be.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
So do you have anything else to share? You've got so much going on, friend. You just finished Leadership Baton Rouge. You've got all these things underneath your belt with the way things are moving. What's going on in your world these days that we haven't talked about yet?
Yeah, I mean, looking at Leadership Baton Rouge and that experience, you're really, really heavy and really into that organization. I mean, we talked about it prior to me applying, but I didn't even realize how impactful the experience was going to be until after going through the program. But our class has been, a different kind of class because we've had the pandemic, we've had, all of those social injustice, all those challenges that we've been having. I mean, so it, being the mother of 2 teenagers, one who is a young Black male, that's been something that I think it's not a new experience for me because I've been Black and he's been Black the whole time, but the experience that others have seen in terms of what it really means here in the country, a lot of that, it seems like it's been a very awakening type of time for a lot of people. And, I've had conversations with a lot of my friends that, just never really understood some of the experiences that each of us shares that's different until times like now.
And it seems like it's just shedding layer and layer and layer of, I don't know, layers of thought, maybe even emotions, old habits, bad habits. It's a lot that is kind of falling apart right now. It's like we're shedding a lot of layers that, an exfoliation of emotions, if you will. We're experiencing the roller coaster of it all. So I can only imagine. We've had some amazing guests on this show that have brought some serious enlightenment.
Yes.
On some of these topics.
Some of those shows, and that was very, very impactful. And I just think it's been a necessary time for us here in our country right now. If we want to be able to advance and get to the America of its promise, we have to do just like you said and exfoliate and shed some of those layers that aren't serving us well. And I just think it's been a good time for that. A lot of good dialogue, a lot of necessary dialogue, a lot of challenges, a lot of emotions, but I think all in all, very, very necessary.
Yeah. And I agree with you about what you mentioned related to the fear, like your fear about your teenage son was something new. And I'm hearing the same thing from so many of my Black friends that they experience the same exact thing. It's horrifying every time this young man is leaving the house just to go do something simple. But it is what we're going through right now is truly increasing awareness. Like so many people are becoming so much more aware. I had a client meeting today, of course, over Zoom, and she was wearing the Black Lives Matter shirt. Yes. And I love you. I'm like, wow, I love your shirt. So, so many people are becoming more and more vocal about it. They're more aware, but there is still a lot of resistance. And I'm doing a lot of consulting engagements related to increasing diversity, equity, and inclusion with companies. And you'll be shocked how many companies, they're like, we're not racist. There's no racist comments that are being said. And then I talked with their Black employees and they're like, we were in tears because all of this stuff is being said, negative stuff. So there's still people that their ears are closed, their eyes are closed, and they think everything, there's nothing wrong. But there's a lot of things that are wrong.
Oh yeah. And I think that the younger generation, like my kids' age and slightly older, this is the generation of change. I think this generation that's coming behind us, they're seeing the things that aren't quite right and they aren't afraid, to call it out. But, what the experience you had with your client isn't surprising. I mean, I worked for 15 years in corporate America, and, some of the things that were experienced, I don't think it was intentional, in terms of some of the things that happened, but, just not having an awareness and an understanding of how these interactions could be, I think is something that now is beginning to, improve. But just like you said, there's still a lot of resistance and a long way to go.
Yes.
Well, a lot of those things weren't really talked about too. The human condition of being conditioned to not only accept it, but that's part of our environment, or to tolerate it to a certain extent. Thank goodness the younger generation's calling it out. We need some accountability. That's what we're a big part of what we're lacking. And it's Nenette. I know it's getting kind of late in the show to talk about this, but you had mentioned your son. I remember specifically, and I want to bring this kind of around full circle, because I remember specifically we were having a tough time at one point because your son was getting bullied online with his online gaming, right? Wasn't that a thing at one point?
Yeah.
And so he's big into the electronic sports and quite successful. So you're not only getting it when you walk outside, you're getting it when you're behind the keyboard as well, from every different angle. And that was in a game.
Yeah.
So tell me more, because I'm not aware of this story and I'm horrified right now.
Well, yeah, please.
No, tell me more. Like, why were they bullying him? Just the fact because he's a Black teenager behind the screen. What was happening?
Yeah, and so my son is a gamer, and he also streams his gameplay on Twitch. For those that don't know, Twitch is a network of hundreds of thousands of gaming channels. And so my son has a channel on that network. And when he streams with his camera. So anyone that comes into his channel is able to see what he looks like. And, the network itself is broadcast globally. So he'd have people from the EU, from Australia, from all different parts of the world. And there were instances where the way that they communicate to him while he's streaming on camera is through chat. And so just like Rob was saying, oftentimes people get keyboard courage and they start saying things that they never say to your face. And they were saying all kinds of derogatory things about him, basically solely based on the color of his skin. And, the thing that I really loved, though, were some of the other people that were in the room, jumped to defend and to support him, to where they were able to block out those negative people. But, they would keep coming back until finally the network was able to ban them based on their computers. But just to think that somebody that is online playing a game for entertainment, to entertain his audience, he's trying to be positive and all of that, is experiencing negativity, not because of something that he's doing, just solely because of the way that he looks. And, that was a lesson for him, that shows that everybody doesn't like the way that you look, but it's something also that gave him a little bit more, how do I say it? He was to show that he was supported. The outweighing of the negative with all of the support, I think, is something that was a valuable lesson for him, to be able to move forward and to continue to game.
And how he handled it too. He also got a shout out from one of the best players, right, in the world, shouting out to your son. I mean, I remember seeing like, "Are you serious right now?"
Yeah, well, that was another incident too that happened as a result of the gaming. He called out what he saw was cheating. And, it ended up being picked up by what I call the TMZ of the gaming of Fortnite. And it went viral. Within a day, it had over 500,000 views. And Ninja, who's, one of the most widely known players in that game, talked about the whole incident that happened with my son. And it really changed everything, especially when we went to San Jose. This year we went to San Diego for TwitchCon, and people were recognizing him on the street and the elevator and restaurants.
Oh,
so
wow.
It was really neat. So the comeback from it, I think, is something that that was really, really positive.
Well, that's the power of allies.
Mm-hmm.
That's the power of people speaking up and helping others. So so that's why having the conversation, educating people, increasing awareness, we all can be allies. As like I was born and raised in the Middle East, we have our own issues, but not like this, different way. And I am shocked, like with the stories I hear and the history, like the more I learn about the history of racism, that just blows my mind. It just makes no sense. As a person coming from a different culture, again, we have our issues. I'm not saying we're perfect by no means.
No country is perfect.
But the racism and the history, and it's just I just cannot believe it.
Yeah, well, I think the value of allies is extremely important. People that see something that isn't right and don't just remain silent, but they actually stand up for it. Because that's how things are able to grow and fester, is when it's left unchecked. And so when you become that, you become somebody that checks it and resolves it and puts it in its place. So I value allies.
Yeah,
Love that. Allies, man. I mean, I guess the question too is, how do you build allies? I mean, it kind of ties into a little bit earlier what we were talking about, being authentic, Nenette. I mean, you did that automatically and without really any desire for anything else in return. I mean, you can build allies, you can build a network, you can build a business like that. That's a pretty powerful tool if used in a positive social force.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, the bottom line is be your authentic self, and good things come to good people. Sometimes there's challenges and crap in the middle, along the way, but over time, I really do believe that good things happen for good people.
Well, do you want to recognize any allies or friends? We had a lot of people tune in tonight. We're excited to see you, my friend. Do you want to say hello to anybody?
Well, my kids, of course, Joshua and Jasmine. Shout out to them. Gosh, you put me on the spot.
we had Gary earlier. Gary, who's Gary?
Yes, Eric.
Yeah, and to Chuck and to Tammy and all the good people that tuned in and that have been supportive of Lemonade and the Lemonade life, the Lemonade mindset. Again, stuff happens to all of us, whether it's in our personal lives or whether it's in our business lives. But it's not, life is what, 90%, 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond. And I think that philosophy is what I hold near and dear as the Lemonade life, because when life hands you lemons, you just work with it and you make lemonade.
So share with us where you learned that.
Where did I learn the saying? I think my grandmother may have said it before, but it was something that I came across, and it's just something that resonated with me. I think each of us has a little saying that resonates in our spirit. And I guess just because of the vastness of it and how many ways it could apply, I just thought that it was something that fits me and fits me perfectly.
Well, Nenette, one last question for you is, you said it was sort of the golden hour. You liked around that time when we got started, how you got to look outside and 10, 15 minutes later, the shades of color changed. Mm-hmm. Did you pay attention to not only Dima sneezing, but did you see her background change?
Oh, yeah, it has.
You can see the sunset with every show.
It has. Going from daylight to night. Very good.
Within an hour.
Yes, the power hour. I love it.
Yes, indeed. Well, Dima, do you have any more questions? I know we got to start wrapping up soon, but what's on your brain? What's your takeaway from today?
I'm so thankful for you and Nenette joining us. Your story is such an inspiration, and these are the kinds of stories we're hungry for, and we want to share, because we all are going through a difficult time right now. So whether your experience with a pharmaceutical company or whether your experience during the pandemic, how you shifted around and you looked for opportunities, utilized your network, stayed looking for better chances, and always being open to change. These are the lessons we need to hear every single day right now. So I'm so thankful that you joined us and you shared this with Robin and myself, and also with our viewers. Thank you.
No, thank you. Resiliency, that's the key, just like you said.
Yeah, I love that.
And thank you, Rob. Thank you so much for the time and the opportunity. I appreciate you guys.
Oh, heck yeah. Well, look, we definitely, if there's any kind of ally that needs to be supported, it's you, my friend. You are doing an amazing job out there, and
thank you.
Always have been someone that you can rely on, and, with integrity, and just always a pleasure to see and talk to. I love you. So, let's do this before we shut things down. How can people find out more about you or Lemonade Creative Marketing? How can they reach out to you or contact you?
Okay. Well, Lemonade Creative Marketing, branded promotional agency. You can visit lemonadecreativemarketing.com. It's the whole thing spelled out. We're going to change it soon. Lemonadecreativemarketing.com, or you can always call us here in the office at 225-228-3449.
There you go. All right, my friend. Well, thank you for sharing everything with us, not just your contact info, all the great stories, all the great information. Love your smile, most of all. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you. Your infectious smile kind of helps that as well.
I kind of hiding it a little bit. I've got to do something. This is getting ridiculous.
You can't hide it. You can't hide it, even through the beard. You know, through the beard.
You know, dimples have a way of being my tell, so I appreciate that. But thank you, my friend. Thank you for spending some time with us tonight. And this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on our Chit Chat show. We will be back next week, next Wednesday at 7 p.m. CST, that's Central Standard Time, with Tommy Talley of Echo Tango.
All right.
And so we've had a great run of shows this month, and I'm just so happy to have you on tonight. Thank you, Nenette. Thank you, my friend.
Right,
Dima, good to see you. We will, I guess, be chit-chatting next week, huh?
Yeah, or maybe we'll talk a little in between, too.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining in. Bye, everybody. Have a great one.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.